When we need to know something these days, it's just a quick Google search or a look at AI for the answers. And this can be pretty overwhelming sometimes. In this information age, there is an overwhelming amount of information that's available to us. We've still got to choose what we want to learn about and then how we use that information. At the moment, I'm learning two things. I'm learning about making sourdough bread, and it's really amazing. The information online is just massive. Searching Google, searching YouTube, there's just a ton of information, and it's super helpful, but it's not easy. There's another thing that I'm learning. I'm learning how to carve wood, and I've just been doing this for a few years now, and I'm taking a completely different approach to this because I want to slow learn this one. I'm not looking at any videos, I'm not doing any research about how to use chisels in a particular way or what to do with them. The only thing that I'm researching is how to get my chisels as sharp as possible. And sure, like I said, getting the information is quick and easy, but it's what we do with it. Making sourdough bread is fairly straightforward. It's fairly simple. All you're using is flour and water and salt and starter. There's also time and atmosphere, like humidity and temperature involved. When you get the balance, you're going to make good bread. But finding that balance and finding the right information is not always as easy as it might seem. I've been overwhelmed with information, and most of it comes from bakers who are baking in a different climate than what we have here in northern Thailand. Here it's always warm and it's quite often humid, and this changes the way I have to approach baking sourdough bread. And when my focus is on my wood carving, I take a different approach. It's a slow approach. It's slow learning because I'm doing it just for pleasure. I'm doing the carving just because I want to do something creative that is completely separate from technology. Most of what I do creatively, I've got a camera in my hand and usually some other audio recording device, sometimes some lights, but there's all kinds of things that I've got to plug in to be able to do my job. And then there's the editing side of things, and of course this is all on computer. And so for a while I've just wanted to step back from the technology, do something with my hands, with my mind, with my heart, and just create without having to rely on asking somebody else or asking Google or YouTube, how do I do this? And it's fabulous. It's really fun. It's super relaxing, and I really enjoy it. Yeah, it's not digital. There's no deadline. There's no parameters or confines. There's no right or wrong way for me to be working on my wood carving. And this is just the start of it. I've got a few other pieces that I will connect and join together and put these together as a display. And yeah, I love to share it. I really like to hear the opinions of people about what I'm doing, but it actually doesn't have much effect on what I do or why I do it. It's just nice to get the feedback sometimes. But with sourdough, it's different. I need not only the information, but I also need the experience. And as I practice, as I find new information, recently I've been getting some good information. I've found some good channels that teach about baking sourdough in hot and humid climates, and this is raising my game fantastically. It's very exciting. I've found that this balance of information and practice is leading to some very good experience, but without the experience, it's really hard to know. Early on, I watched one video and the person making the video was saying, oh, when your dough gets to this texture, you can feel it. And it's like, well, yeah, sure, you can feel it, but I'm watching the video. I can't feel it. I need to feel the dough. I need to feel how sticky it is or how it's coming together or how dry it might be to know if I need to add some more water or some more flour or give it more time. And with most things that we want to learn for whatever practical reasons, that we want to produce something, we want to learn something, we want to improve our lives, there must be experience connected with what we're learning and intertwined with what we're learning, because the knowledge of how to do something is not always sufficient. And sure, we all come from different backgrounds, we all have different ways of understanding the world that we're living in, and this has an influence on how we consume the information that we learn and how we implement it into our own lives. And through the wonders of the internet, websites like YouTube, we've become very, very used to getting instant information and desiring instant results when we implement that information, but it's not always that easy. And I think this is one reason that these devices, our phones, have become far more popular for taking photos than cameras have, because you can pick up your phone, turn it on, get a snapshot, you've got your picture. But picking up a camera, particularly if it's an old school film camera, you've got to take time to learn how to use it and figure out what all the dials and buttons do to get the most out of the technology. And so because of this modern digital age, we've got super handy devices that do so much for us, and particularly now with AI, we have, I think, begun to really devalue experience. In a previous video, I talked about learning and how it can be challenging to accept new ideas, but how important that is. And I think it's very important to be able to accept new ideas and integrate them, but also to be making decisions about what ideas and what information that we receive is worth retaining, what's going to be most helpful to us. And I've realized that, we need to pause sometimes when we're learning something new and just think about it. Take some time to gaze, just to meditate, just to be still, and to consider how helpful, how useful, and how practical this information is that we're learning. We need to choose to engage with certain amounts of information to gain the experience, but knowing what's the right information can be quite challenging sometimes. So the first question I ask myself, usually subconsciously, is, does this information, does what I'm learning about really resonate with me? Does it fit together with my life experience, what I already know and the experience that I have already? Or is there something off? And if there's something off, is it because it's not practical or it's not helpful, or that maybe I don't understand it yet and maybe need to dive a bit deeper into figuring out what it's about? But it's really key just to pause and ask yourself, well, does it resonate? Does this really fit with who I am and what I want to do? And then I have to consider, does it fit with my life, my work, my environment, the lifestyle I lead? Is this information going to build a better lifestyle or help me to build a better lifestyle once I put it into practice and gain some experience with it? And then if possible, try and figure out, is this information really relevant, and have I seen it working in similar contexts? Are other people implementing this information in a helpful way in a similar context? For example, like my sourdough experimenting, I've had to make a lot of mistakes because I'm living in a warmer climate and with different conditions than what most bakers that I've found on YouTube. They're either living in a cooler climate or a drier climate. So, their way of making sourdough bread differs from mine. The other factor that I have that is quite different than a lot of bakers is that I'm working with a wood-fired oven, at least for some of the baking that I'm doing. And then something else that I found increasingly important to ask myself is this information missing my intuition? Am I just accepting this information because it's being presented as absolute truth? And I find so many times on YouTube and other examples of online information that it's very easy to present something as though you're an expert in it. And I avoid doing this when I'm making videos. I'll usually just share, this is from my experience. I'm not saying it's the right way or the wrong way of doing something, but this works for me or this doesn't work for me. Many times though, when I'm watching videos, I find that people are presenting what they're doing and how they're doing it, or what they know and what they're talking about as though they're an expert. They may have never ever put this into place. And I've started to really click away from information that I discern is only presented by somebody compiling a bunch of artificial intelligence and putting it into a video or a web page or such like, because artificial intelligence, where it does provide an incredible amount of information and I love using it, there's zero experience and zero integrity to know if what it's suggesting is actually going to work in our own environments. So it's incredibly important to really think about and discern whether the information that you're receiving is coming from a really solid source, somebody that really knows and has experience in what they're talking about. And I guess this really comes down to just asking yourself, is this information that I'm receiving beneficial to my life, to my lifestyle, to my well-being, to the goals that I want to achieve in using this information? Is it going to be practical to build my experience? And I also find it's very important to step away from that sometimes and just do some carving, just to really relax and slow my mind down, engage my hands to do something physical and something creative that doesn't have anything to do with technology attached to it. And this helps me have a more enjoyable life. And certainly with the information that we are learning, that it is so readily available to us, we must make the best of it. And the way I am happy to do that, and the way I would encourage you to do that, is by really considering it, really meditating on particularly big decisions that you're making about learning something new, and really ask yourself, is this information correct for me? Is this information going to be helpful to me and really build on my lifestyle choice? And when we do this, we will know that we've got really good information that helps us and lifts us up and builds us up, rather than just overwhelms us with too much that we'll never really make good use of in our lives. And if you'd like to know some more of my thoughts on how to do this, please check out this video next, and it will certainly encourage you. Thank you very much for watching.